Hello, Williams class. For your first ever PSHE lesson this term, the learning objective is, can I think about what I do to make myself happy? So to start us off then, we are going to have a look at a book. It is called The Book of Hopes, and it is written by somebody named Catherine Rundell. Now, she wrote this book specifically for this time that we are facing in our lives at the moment, known as lockdown, known as the time of the pandemic, known as the time where some of us are actually feeling a little bit like we were with all of our family and all of our friends. So it starts with her dedicating this book to the doctors, the nurses, carers, porters, cleaners, and everyone who is working in hospitals. They are the stuff that wild, heroic tales are made of. Just wanted to show you the contents page. So this is what you can expect to be read to you during PSHE. You've got a section about animals, hope in unexpected places, kindnesses, dogs, cats, birds, insects and bugs, nature, things that grow, more and more animals, true stories, magic, fairy tales of sorts, aliens in outer space, hope from a different perspective, crime and detectives, playtime, amazing machines, dragons and sea dragon milk, firsts, believing hard in yourself, birthdays, remarkable friendships, smile, and DIY, excellently revolting, and taking flight. There's a nice little drawing here. When I look at it, I feel full of hope actually, because there's a lot of colour. There are birds on a tree. The tree has flowers growing from it. So it makes me feel really, really happy. And I hope it does the same for you. A very short note about hope. For the last few weeks, I have been hunting for hope. One of the places I have been looking has been in books. Old books, new books, terrifically serious books with footnotes in Latin, and terrifically unserious books with jokes too rude to repeat here. And I have found that with each book I read, I have felt a little tougher, a little bolder, a little more ready to face the world. And I think this is why. I think stories of transformation, of wild glories and everyday glories, of magic, both real and imaginary, can act like a map. They give us a push towards hope. Real, true hope isn't the promise that everything will be all right, but it's a belief that the world has so many strangenesses and possibilities that giving up would be a mistake, that we live in a universe shot through with the unexpected. There's never been a single decade in human history when we have not taken ourselves by surprise. We, the knobbly-kneed, wonky-toothed human species, have an endless potential for change. I am not exactly an optimist, but nor am I pessimist. I am a possibilitist. The possibilities out there for beauty, for transforming the world, are literally infinite. There are spectacular ideas that we will have in the next 10 years that we can't even begin to dream of now. So a few weeks ago, I began a hope project. I emailed some of the children's writers and artists whose work I love most. I asked them to write something very short, fiction or non-fiction, or draw something, anything, that would make the people reading it feel like possibilitists, something that would make them laugh or wonder or snort or smile. The response was magnificent, which shouldn't have surprised me, because I think children's writers and illustrators are professional hunters of hope. We seek it out, catching it in our nets, setting it down between the pages of a book and sending it out into the world. You could read this collection all in one sitting if you wanted to, but it's designed so that you can dip into it. There are true accounts of cats and hares and plastic munching caterpillars. There are doodles and flowers, revolting poems and beautiful poems. There are stories of space travel and new shoes and elephants and dragons. None are longer than 500-ish words, so they can be devoured in a bite. One story for breakfast and another at midday, with a poem perhaps for dessert. And that was written by Catherine Rundell in April 2020. And she has included a drawing that somebody named Lauren Child did in 2020. We'll begin with our story. The first one has to do with animals, and it is called A Song of Gladness. I've been talking every morning to Blackbird, telling him why we are all so sad at the moment. He sits on his branch and listens. It was Blackbird's idea. He sang out this morning at dawn from his treetop in the garden to Fox half asleep behind the garden shed. She thought it a good idea too. It was a wake-up call. Fox was on her feet at once and trotting through Bluebell Wood, where she barked it to Deer, who ran off across the stream. Kingfisher was there, Otter and Dipper too. They heard and piped it on, and Swallow swooped down over the meadow and passed it on to cows waiting to go into their milking, and to sheep resting quietly under the hedge with her lambs in the corner of the dew-damp field. And they all agreed, bleating it out to bees already busy at their flowers, to weaving spiders and grasshoppers and scurrying mice. Trees heard sheep calling too, the whole flock of them, and waved their budding leaves in wild enthusiasm. And high above, the clouds wandered through the skies driven by wind, and wind took Blackbird's idea over the cliffs across heaving seas, where gulls and albatross cried it out, and whales and dolphins and porpoises heard it, and wailed and whooped it down into the deep, where turtles listened, and they too loved the idea. So did plankton, and every fish and crab and sea urchin and whelk. They all whispered that it was a fine notion, the best they ever heard. And the whisper went over the sea on the curling waves to the shores of Africa, where lions roared their approval and elephants trumpeted it, leopards yawned it, water buffalo belched it, wild dogs yelped it, wildebeest murmured it out across the savannah, and storm lifted the idea up over rainforests, where rain took it and poured it down on gorillas in the mist, on chimpanzees in their sleeping nests. Howler monkeys and gibbons echoed their calls loud over all the earth. They are that loud. And then from far up high, Sun heard it too, and shone it down over deserts, where Oryx stamped her foot, impatient to be getting on with it and doing it. She loved the idea that much. Even Camel, who rarely joined in anything, thought this was the best and most beautiful idea he had ever heard. Back in the garden, Blackbird waited till everyone was ready, and then he began to sing. And the whole carnival of animals, every living thing on this good earth joined in, until the globe echoed with the joy of it. And Blackbird was very pleased. But I was still lost in sadness, as I heard the earth singing around me. It was a song of forgiveness. I knew that. So I asked Blackbird if I could join in, and he sang his answer back to me. "Why do you think we are doing this, you silly man? We want you and yours to be happy again. Only then will you treat us and the world right again, as you know you should. Only then will all be well. Sing, silly man, sing, sing. Our song is your song. Your song is our song." So I sang. We all sang away our sadness. In every house and flat and cottage, we clapped and sang. In every hut and tent, in every palace and hospital and prison. And they heard, and we heard our song of gladness echoing all together in glorious harmony across the universe. I really hope you enjoyed reading that with me. We will be reading extracts of this book every PSHE lesson. Now, during a time as unusual as today, it is important to remember all the things, big and small, that make you happy. It's a time in our lives at the moment that we can't really be with our friends and family as much as we would like to be. And it's because of that that we should take some time out of our days for reflection. How can we make ourselves feel better? What do we already do to make ourselves smile? Here are some activities that you can do to make yourself happy. Now, you may find that you do a lot of them already, maybe some of them, or maybe even none of them. So hopefully this can inspire you to try something new. It can also make you realise maybe that the activities that you do should leave you with a smile. You could dance to your favourite song, have a drink of water, do some colouring, smell your favourite smell, hug a toy. Think of a happy memory of your friends or your family. Think of the 3 best moments of the day. Do 5-star jumps. Ask for help. Take some deep breaths. Talk to a friend online. Write down how you are feeling. Think of a happy time. Watch television. Imagine your favourite place. Think of 3 solutions for your problem. Have a nap. Say you are sorry. Make a list of things you are good at. Do a full body stretch. Just some of the activities you could do. So we have 3 tasks then from our PSHE lesson for today. Number 1, make a list of activities that make you happy, that cheer you up when you are feeling a little bit down, that make you smile. You can do that on a piece of paper and then upload that onto Tapestry. Number 2, You are going to create a coping toolbox. You will need for this a box or a container which you can decorate if you wish to. You should fill your coping toolbox with things that remind you of good times or will help yourself to feel better. Now, if you don't have a box or container, you can instead find a special place in your room or in your house to put the items. You can take a picture, you can record a video, but make sure to post it onto Tapestry. And then task number 3 is to record a video showing what is in your coping toolkit. Why did you choose what you did? Now, I'm going to show you my coping toolbox. It has some of the things that make me really happy. Here is my coping toolbox. Now in here, some of the things that I've included are a book. I love to read. Now having a book by my side pretty much all of the time makes me smile. I've also got in there a little note that my best friend got me. She got me flowers the other day, and with that came this really sweet note. So I keep it in my coping toolbox. If I ever miss her, then I know that I can read this note to remind me of her. I've got a very special photo of my 2 friends and I. This reminds me of all the good times that I've had with them because it's one photo of one thing that happened, but it reminds me of all the different memories that I've had with them. So I've got that. And then a final thing that I have, something very close to my heart, is a painting that I received from one of you for Christmas last year. And it just reminds me of my most brilliant children. So those were a few of my items for my coping toolbox, and I look forward to seeing what you include in yours. I'll see you very, very soon, Williams class. Take care. Bye.